Hey guys, and welcome back to It's Pretty Simple. I'm Nikita Kohli, and today on Pretty Simple, I have a guest with me. We have Brooke. Hey Brooke,
Hey, how's it going, Nikita?
all good? How you doing?
Not too bad. It's Friday. Can't
It's
complain.
Friday. Friday is always a good day, end of the week, time to
Yes.
relax. So where are you at, Brooke?
I am in Denver, Colorado.
Nice. It's morning, morning for you.
Yeah, 8:40 over here.
Nice. Well, 4:40 for us, for me here. It's halfway through the day. All right, Brooke, why don't you tell us a little bit something about you? What do you do?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, we coach primarily women, mostly people kind of newer to their fitness. Well, not necessarily newer to their fitness journey, but newer to a approach that is a little more balanced. Help people get away from all the fads out there and the extremes and the yo-yo dieting. So helping them, just get consistent with what to do, but also kind of find something that's more simple and sustainable. And so been doing that a few years officially, and like five or so years coaching others kind of unofficially before going full time with it.
Okay, nice. Well, I guess that's what we're all trying to do, right? There's so much crap on the internet right now that we're just trying to make everything as simple as possible for people. Hence, the name of my podcast is called It's Pretty Simple. Really just want to simplify all the complicated stuff that's out there.
Yeah, I love that name. And it's spot on. Like the amount our coaching team kind of jokes like 99% of the questions we get from clients, our answer is like it doesn't really matter. Just based on things they see. Like there's a few core principles that you need to stick to, but I feel like a big part of it or most of it is that just being able to stick to the simple things.
Yeah, I think consistency plays a big role, and I noticed that that's most people's downfall. Just being able to stick with something long enough to see the results. And yeah, at the end of the day, it is pretty simple. I mean, even the name of this podcast came through because I realized with every coaching call I was having, I was always saying it's pretty simple when I was explaining something to them that they needed to do. And then it just like clicked. Wait, that should just be the name of the podcast. Because ultimately, these podcasts are kind of like coaching calls, right? Just trying to teach people and give them advice on what direction to go in.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like it pops up a lot too, especially now, like you said, all the stuff out there, hormones, gut health, ingredients in food, all these things. And it's like, I'm not going to say that you can't have an issue with one of those things, but like 90+% of the time, it's like, all right, well, are we doing the simple stuff? Because you're going to have to do that either way, regardless of if you have like some hormone thing you got to get checked out with your doctor. Like that doesn't change the fact that you should probably move more and eat some more vegetables and things like that.
Yeah, ultimately, it kind of comes down to the same core disciplines that you need to follow anyway. Even if you have an illness or whatever it is, you're gonna have to do the simple things to begin with before you go onto your medication, before you start a treatment or whatever it is. Every doctor will tell you move more, eat more veg, more fruit, more fiber, more protein. It's pretty simple that way. Oh crap, I keep saying it.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Yeah.
One of our coaches is a functional nutritionist and can take a look at labs, and like sometimes people come in, they're like, yeah, I want to, check out my lab work and optimize, and we're like, well, I saw on your intake form you're sleeping 5 hours a night. It's like it's probably not even worth paying money for labs right now because we can tell you that things are going to be off because you don't have much muscle and you're not sleeping, you're not taking care of yourself. So like, let's not even worry about that. Obviously get your regular stuff done with your primary care, but we can hold off on the optimizing supplements or nutrition until you just do the basics.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people they want to find another reason, right? I've
Hmm.
noticed a lot of the times people want to get I'm not losing weight. They want to get their hormones checked. They want to check their cortisol levels because everywhere it's like people are talking about cortisol now, which is a thing, yes, but just because you're struggling to lose weight doesn't mean that what you're looking at online that you have that problem. To break something.
Yeah, sorry. No, I didn't break anything. Drop something. Sorry about that.
It's all right. Yeah, it doesn't mean that you have that problem. But it's so much easier to find an external reason than admitting to yourself that you are not actually following the steps that you need to and just blame it on something else.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like a big because like there's something to be said for like, one of those stories or something or some villain to blame to get someone to take action, but the scary part is it's like it's going to get hard eventually regardless. So then if you kind of cling to that and then a few months goes by and the newness wears off and things like that and it's hard again because you're not as excited about it or like blaming this XYZ thing, it kind of reinforces that pattern of like, that self critiquing or that like failure mentality because it's going to wear off and it will get hard at some point and then once again you're like, I thought that was a thing, like what's the new thing, and it just reinforces that cycle.
Yeah. That's very true. I mean, I see that with a lot of people who start and they have this new excitement and it goes great for a little bit and then things start to get harder. They really, they're starting to see changes within like if you're completely new within the first 2 to 3 weeks, you're gonna start to see your weight drop, right? I mean, it's not necessarily fat loss, but your weight's gonna drop so that excitement is there and it makes you feel good. And then eventually, your body starts to adapt and things start to change and things start becoming a bit more linear. And then from there, as the motivation starts to go down, they stop maybe tracking their food as regularly, stop tracking their sleep as regularly. They don't push them. They don't, if I've given them 4 sessions, maybe they're going and doing 2 to 3 because they're starting to lose that motivation. And then it's like, oh, there's something wrong with me. It's like, no, you're just not pushing yourself hard enough.
Yeah, that's yeah, the wrong with me story, I feel like that's so common and is something people need to hear over and over because it's like nothing is wrong. This is hard. Like, let's expect it to be hard. That doesn't mean we can't make it as easy as possible and like do things in our environment and in our routine, making it simple. But let's not expect some magic formula to make it just like this key that unlocks like easy mode forever because it's hard.
It is hard, and nowadays with our environment and our surroundings and the kind of lives that we live, it's even harder. And so this is where your discipline really needs to come in. And I guess that's when the psychological part comes in, right? Because most people like to make excuses for themselves. I mean, even coming to like let's go into emotional eating a little bit, right? So that's the thing. It, I mean, I do it. You don't have female hormones, so you probably don't do it, but I'm sure you have clients who do it. But like, for example, yesterday I woke up, I was tired. I went for a long bike ride. Then I felt okay. And then I just crashed. After my nap, I woke up and I realized I got my period. The first thing that came to my head was I need ice cream. I wasn't really craving it, but it's just this thing that I do, right? So I went downstairs to the supermarket. I bought a whole tub of ice cream. Came back upstairs. I said I'm gonna watch a rom-com and cry because I had a cry earlier for no reason because that's what happens with hormones. And then I decided let me have dinner. So I made myself a nice high protein dinner, veggies, salad, everything. After that, I literally did not bother having the ice cream. I just ended up having like berries and I was fine. So it was just because in my head, I always have ice cream when I'm feeling emotional on my period. So I had to go down and buy it. But I managed very easily not to eat it yesterday.
Yeah. That, I mean, there's so many elements and you're right. Like, I mean, I definitely like still have, cravings or like when I get stressed, I want something. I think we all do, but I'm not going to act like I understand the female hormone drive. I'm sure it's, or, you know, obviously it's on a
It's
different
very
level.
weird. Like you'll just start
Um,
crying out of nowhere and you'll be like, what's happening to me?
yeah, well, and I feel like it's, even we all like and it's very normal for us all to like we move away from discomfort and towards comfort. Like we have this, there's like a great model that's like we have a rational brain and an emotional brain. The emotional brain, like there's a really good metaphor that it's an elephant, and our rational brain or mind is riding the elephant, trying to steer it. And like if the emotional elephant gets out of control, we get into kind of this habit cycle of, uncomfortableness shows up, stress comes up, something comes up, we're sleep deprived, hormones, whatever. And our first reaction is we have to make this go away as soon as possible. And like you already mentioned, with our modern environment, with all these tasty foods, that is a very effective way to temporarily feel better. And then just like hearing that went to veggies and healthy food, like utilizing that to your advantage without necessarily telling yourself you can't have the ice cream after. That's a massive, I think getting to that point is a huge step because it doesn't just keep you focused on the ice cream. It allows you to focus on more of something else first.
Yeah, I mean, normally I would have probably just had the ice cream, but it was like this awkward evening time where I was like I've trained today. I really should probably have dinner because I was hungry as well. So I was like, if I have the whole tub of ice cream, like I'm not gonna hit my protein for the day. So let me eat dinner first, and then I'm gonna put on a movie and I'm gonna eat the ice cream. After dinner, I was like, meh, not feeling it anymore.
Yeah, I
So
love it.
yeah, I just switched it. But yeah, I think it also just comes from understanding that what is important first. Because if I didn't think that I needed to hit my protein and finish that off and have a proper dinner, I probably would have just had the ice cream for dinner, which I think a lot of people would end up doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's one of the I mean just the awareness from like once you start paying attention to protein and how it makes you feel after or how much more full it keeps you, things like that, it can be a massive mental shift because a lot of people just don't realize just how filling it can be and how much less they have to fight with themselves if they're getting that proper amount of protein in.
But I also feel when we're looking at emotional eating, because a lot of people they kind of have their mindset, that when I get low or when I get sad, I eat. You know, they're telling themselves that, right?
Hmm.
So when I have my intake form as well, like I ask people, like what do you I can't remember what the exact question is now, but like when do you feel like you don't watch your nutrition or something like that? And it's like either like stress, emotional eating, like what do you have problems with? And that's usually it. So they're telling themselves that this is who they are and this is what they do. It's the same way that I tell myself that when I get my period, I'm gonna have ice cream. And I've made it a thing for so long because I've just attached that to it. So when I'm sad, I binge. But no, it's an action that you are actually doing knowingly because you've told yourself that that's what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. Or unknowingly, Like I feel like a lot of that story that's going on, like I feel like the biggest step is becoming aware of that link, and that chain because all these things that we have built up in our head about who we are and what we do, like your mind really wants to uphold who you are even if it's not quote unquote good for you or not,
Yeah.
so like a lot of I don't know about you, but in my experience, a lot of the clients that like when they first come in, they don't even realize that that's like they think it's the only option. Like this happens, then I do this, like you just said, which is so strong. Which is it's crazy because really it's just something up in your head that's like a rule that's completely arbitrary, really. Like not to make it, not to make it sound easy to overcome. It's very hard to overcome, but
Or
even considering that is a huge step that, oh, maybe I don't have to obey every single thing that comes up in my head.
yeah, I mean, when we're looking at these stories, I mean, we create stories in our head all the time, not just with this, but in so many other aspects. Like just even when you're like, let's say you go out with a group of friends and you're three people having the same conversation, right? Each of you has taken a different part of that conversation and taken it in a different way because it's perspective at the end of the day. So you can create this whole story in your head out of what happened where the other two people are not gonna even understand what you're talking about because for them that didn't happen. Yeah, so I mean our minds are built like that. We have the imagination and depending on our feelings and our self-worth and the way we speak to ourselves, we can kind of change anything to either make us feel better or make us feel worse. And I think people do the same thing when it comes to habits, especially bad habits. We always convince ourselves that there's a reason why we're doing it. And
Yeah.
then we look at the
Yeah.
good habits as being too hard to now change, even though you can just rewire your brain, which is, it's true, you can rewire your brain because you just have to change your perspective, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And like yeah, I think that stuff is fascinating. The lens we're seeing literally everything come through and the meaning we're creating around something that happens and what it means for us and like who we are as a person. And I think that's also why like a lot of the time results can be so superficial and temporary because we're focusing on these things that are way up here just at the surface, but we're not considering the driving force behind why we're doing it or the beliefs around who we are as a person or like you said our self-worth. And it can really turn into like this cycle of like I'm working out because I want to avoid feeling lazy instead of like I'm working out because I want to feel good.
Mm.
And like those subtle little differences and like punishing yourself versus like just doing it out of self-love or whatever you want to call it, um, makes a massive difference on how much energy it's going to take out of you to stick with a plan.
Yeah, I mean, the way you talk to yourself is super important. Like we speak to ourselves every single day, and yeah, just that little switch of, oh, I need to work out because otherwise I'm lazy, versus I need to go work out because it makes me feel good. You know, is it's just it's the same thing essentially, but it's different.
Yeah.
Okay, so talking about emotional eating, what would be the first step in actually tackling it and understanding that it is a problem, and what do you like? How do you?
Yeah. So I I always like to think of it as you can't fix or work on or change anything that you aren't aware of, right? So step number one is always going to be identifying it. And like once again, sounds simple, but definitely difficult because there's a lot of things going on, even subconsciously we're not aware of. So like for on our side, like with our clients, what we'll typically start with I mean, I think of it in kind of two different ways. Like there's the piece around like the psychology and the mental game around it. But then there's also like the physical side or the physiology. So like and just real quick, I'll just cover like typically I'm trying to minimize how many times we even have to deal with it because inherently like the psychological side can be a lot more difficult than the physical. And when I say the physical side, I mean getting enough protein, getting in consistent meals, getting enough food, getting enough fruits and vegetables, really minimizing hunger and then optimizing your environment so that we're not having to deal with the psychological side over and over and over. Like if you have cookies or trigger foods on your counter every day, it's you're setting yourself up for failure. So let's keep the whole foods abundant, keep the higher calorie foods at least out of sight, less easy to just grab unconsciously and snack on throughout the day. But outside of that, because that protein and the vegetables, that can all be really powerful for just keeping us as full as possible. But bringing awareness to it. So it can be as simple as like, let's just start reflecting on like, how'd you sleep the night before? What was going on? Who were you with? Where were you? What was going on a couple hours before? What was going on an hour before? What were you thinking during it? And really just that piece of bringing more awareness to that situation will start to give us something to work with, whether it's thoughts, whether it's emotion, because it is serving a purpose in some way. But if it's leading to taking us away from the goals we have or the person we want to be, that's when it becomes a problem. Like it's not necessarily bad, right? It's an adaptation or it's a self-survival mechanism that we're going to. So yeah, bottom line, awareness is key for really everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that being aware is the most important part of when and why these things happen and when you get the feeling. But there'll be people who may have all their protein for the day, they may have slept well, but there's still something going on and they still have they still have the craving and they still want to have that piece of chocolate. I mean, in my case, I usually tell them just do it. Like, if you've really done everything and it's just not working and you want to have some chocolate, just do it. I give in at certain points as well, and I think that's very human. But I think the problem happens is when you are aware, you allow yourself, and you let it always become an excuse, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So in that case, like recently I actually had a client who is fully aware of when she stress eats. So it's emotional through stress. She's fully aware of when she stress eats. She's hitting all her protein targets. She's having all her fiber, her vegetables, everything. But she works quite late at night. So what she tends to do is at by the end of the night, like she's obviously sleep deprived. She's feeling stressed out. It's natural. She's gonna go to her snack closet. So what
Hmm.
we've tried to do now, which has worked, is basically say, okay, when you start to feel that way, I want you to just put your headphones in, put on some music, put on a podcast, get out of the door, and just go for a walk downstairs around the building. That's it. Just go do that. And when you come back up, figure out whether you're still want to go into the snack closet or not. And that's been working pretty well because it's just like now breaking it. You're adding one more step
Yes.
in between you and the snack closet because it's just, I'm stressed, snack closet. No, I'm stressed, walk, and then snack closet too. Like we spoke earlier about the ice cream. I'm gonna have dinner first and then the ice cream. You break it down, and the chances of you actually going into the snack closet after you've done one more step in between is gonna be a lot less.
Yes. Yes. I love it. A word comes to mind. There's a term, implementation intentions, where it's like, if this, then that. So we get the awareness. If, like you just said, if it comes up, I'm going to put my headphones in, go for a walk. And it's like, in this case, the food was providing a temporary relief of stress or soothing her stress. So it's like, if a walk with a good song is also serving that purpose, it gives so much more, like you said, breaking the chain. Anything that buys time can be so helpful. And I feel like it can be different for everybody. Like some people, like, doing like paying attention to their breath, really feeling into that, getting out of their head and into their body can be helpful. There's so many different ways to go. But like, yeah, it all comes down to breaking that pattern, right? And then I always like to tell people, if you do that thing and you still want it, like, let's at least, no matter what happens, let's enjoy it mindfully. Like, taste it, like really enjoy it instead of just like looking for the next bite, because then you get into this thing where you're not even enjoying it anyways, because you're just beating yourself up.
Yeah. On that thought, I actually saw this video yesterday, and it was this bodybuilding bikini model who had been on some strict diet for like the longest time. And this video is like going around the internet where she eats, what was it, a Biscoff after her show, and she's crying. And it just made me think like, why would anybody want to put themselves to that point, to that situation where you completely need to, I mean, she's a bodybuilder, so I guess, that's what she does as her sport. Okay, there's no hate there, but just normal people who feel like they need to cut things out completely and really deprive themselves of things that they really enjoy, and then having to eat it and then cry because the feeling is so overwhelming. It feels like torture, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I've never, I mean, I'm not a bodybuilder by any means, but like I've done a couple like pretty aggressive cuts just to like do it at some point. And it's terrible. And like I don't think people realize, I especially when people are putting on social media, like, they have a top 0.1% physique in the world. And they're also like showing, I don't know, I think it's very easy to mislead people from what it actually takes to maintain that. And there's trade-offs at every level of fitness. And I couldn't agree more. Like after the last one I did, I was like, this wasn't worth it on any on any level. I mean, it's yeah, it's unbelievable what it does to your body and your mind.
I think I think with you, it's more like the mind for me. I feel like you could really get messed up in the head with these things because it's just going to another extreme. And like, if you are feeling like you want to have a piece of chocolate and you're not allowing yourself because you have this physique that you want to attain, you're fighting within yourself. And eventually, a lot of women end up having actually eating disorders when they try to go into these extreme cuts. And that's like super danger zone. So yeah, you're right. I mean, it is very misleading online because the shape, the body, it is achievable with a lot of pain,
Yeah.
but the maintenance as well. Like I feel also people don't realize that these people don't do this all year round either, you know? And what you see
Hmm.
is them showing you, they may have done their photo shoots and their video shoots like ages ago, and now they're posting all this stuff. But right now they're going through their diet break or whatever it is, because you can't be living that way. And I really don't think anyone really does that all year round. It's not
Right.
healthy.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, I think that also is like a huge thing to consider why you even want the goals you want. Is this for yourself? Is it going to contribute to a more meaningful life for you? Because, like, if you're punishing yourself and damaging your psychological health to get to a result that you think is going to get you happiness externally, like, everyone knows it, but like people still chase that. And it's like you're kind of, I would assume you want to get healthier and more fit to be happier, or I don't know if we want to use the word happy, but like to enjoy life more, or to boost your mood and be more present for your relationships. And if you're damaging all those things to get this arbitrary external validation or physique that you think is going to be impressive to other people, it's kind of working the opposite of what you truly want deep down.
But then people who really just have those goals as well, there is a deeper reason for why they need that external validation. So there's always going to be a deeper
Yes.
reason, right? I mean, I'm not just like, oh, I want to go, I want to get really fit and I want to get hot. There's going to be a reason why, people are
Right.
into the whole, going to have my revenge body now, when a guy is
Yeah.
and dated some narcissist and now they want to take revenge, or, they've had self-worth issues from being when they were kids. Maybe they were bullied in high school. Yes, I think body goals are a thing because they do need external validation, but why goes a lot deeper. And with me, with my clients, whenever anyone comes to me and says that they have this specific body that they want, I usually tell them, is that really what it is? Because if that's all that there is, this is not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Because there has to
Yes.
be more to it. And we try to kind of break that down. And if somebody's really like, no, this is what I want, then I usually don't work with them. And it's usually people like, for me, it's women who are more in their 20s, like younger girls who obviously are not very self-aware of their emotions, maybe trauma, whatever it is, they're not aware. And they like are on social media. I want this butt, I want this abs, I want this. And so now I'm in my 30s now, and so now I kind of just work with women in their 30s because I was just like these 20-year-olds as well, right? At one point. But I've passed that, and now 30-year-old women are kind of on the same page as me as well, where yes, it would be nice to look like that, but I just want to de-stress. I just want to feel better. I need to have more energy. I've got a job. I've got two kids. And that's when they will actually like progress better, stay more consistent, and get more results. That's the way I
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, like, yeah, the whole self-worth thing. And I think it's like definitely like some more than others, but like, I feel like deep down, whether someone's gonna kind of start to go down that path now or 15 years from now, there's always progress to be made. I mean, I say progress, but like, like it ends up coming back around to just realizing that like you're complete as you are, right? Like we all are. And that, that's where I think like being a coach is so challenging, but also so rewarding, because all this, like, it's not just nutrition and exercise. Yeah, if you have a machine, you can just go into the nutrition and exercise science and give them macros and a workout plan. And if they're going to do everything that is put into the machine, and it's going to output the result, but it's, that's rarely ever the case. I mean, I wouldn't even say it ever is. And
Yeah.
so like being able to bring in all these different aspects of just like your health all around, and your mental health is so, so, so important, but it's hard.
It's hard. It's hard. I think a lot of people are also afraid to kind of understand themselves and reasons why they do things. I mean, I've seen a lot of people who tend to, distract themselves constantly, whether it's through social media, whether it's to hang out with friends, whether it's to just going to the gym. It's good that they're going to the gym. It's good that they're socializing, but they're hiding away from actually trying to understand themselves. And I think it's a big problem. And people don't know how important it is to be in solitude, to really become aware of your shit and own your shit and figure
Yeah,
it out. Why am I the way I am? There's nothing wrong with you, but there's reasons why you're gravitated towards emotional eating at certain points. Why? There's a deeper reason to it. You know, why are you going and spending every single day at the gym? Like there's a reason behind it, but they don't want to sit down and just understand themselves, and they're afraid to be alone with their own thoughts. I've noticed that with a lot of people, and it's scary. It's so scary. I mean, when I moved here, I was alone. I had no friends, nothing, and I was literally forced to be alone with my thoughts. I spent the first month literally just out on these meetups and partying because I didn't want to do that. And then finally got to a point where I was like, I need to build a routine. I live here now. And I started spending time with myself. And it was horrible. It was an emotional torture to really face so many things that I've just been compartmentalizing in my head for so many years. And now I love it. I love being by myself.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. The Yeah, and it's like, I mean, that's really what it all like. I think in one way you could say that like everything we do in some way, shape, or form is like this effort to be more comfortable with ourselves. Like it's crazy once you kind of start to become aware of that. Like literally just like being in a waiting room, or like between like events or something, like we're all filling every single spare moment just so we don't have to face those thoughts or be alone with ourselves. It's astonishing once you start to notice it. Like I one thing I did recently earlier this year was started to like, I used to always have a podcast or something when I go on my walks, and I started just not taking my phone and just using that as time to just be.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that even my brain will start to even like try to find some thought about the future, about something that's exciting to me, just to have that to just like rehearse during the walk instead of just being with what's there. It's
It is. I mean, even when you look at meditation, though, like our minds are not made to be quiet.
right.
Right. They're not made to be quiet, but it's about understanding that when you're sitting and meditating, these thoughts are going to come. When you're going for a walk, like you said, and you're thinking about these things, it's about consciously not engaging with those thoughts. And it also depends what you want to get out of it. I mean, already people who are unable to leave their phones and go for a walk, right?
Hmm.
So if you're going
Yeah.
out for a walk and you're thinking about the future, it's good. It's like you're journaling in your own head rather than, listening to something else that has nothing to do with you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. Like the shift from, at first it's like, oh, I have this anxiety, I need to get rid of it, to, oh, like it's there. It is what it is. If I don't try to get rid of it, ironically, it kind of quiets down a little bit. But it quiets down because you're letting it be there. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that chasing for a physique, or, you know, money and things like that, like it's all very apparent, but it's I don't know. It's like, do you get the impression that like a lot of people are not even close to starting to become aware of that? Or do you think you just don't see it and they don't share that?
I think a lot of people are not becoming aware of it, and I think it has a lot to do with the amount of distractions that we have at our fingertips.
Yeah.
I mean, in our parents' time, they didn't understand mental health and they didn't understand what it meant to look inward. They just, we don't show
Hmm.
emotion, we don't do this, we just live. And now it's getting bigger through our generation. However, because all of us were brought up by boomers, you
Hmm.
know, I mean, at least in my case, like, I mean, I come from a very, very loving family, but emotions were kind of like, no, you know, like you're feeling sad. Oh, I think I'm depressed. It's like, you can't use that word in this house kind of thing, you know? I mean, it's not like they said that, but you get that thing because, like,
Right.
my mom growing up, for example, didn't really get to speak out about how she felt for a lot of stuff. So when we started doing it, she didn't know how to react to us, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like we are trying to bring this out, but a lot of people who are in our generation as well don't want to dig deep. And it's just easy to just distract themselves. Some of us do, some of us don't. I mean, it took me a really long time to get to that point, even to start. I mean, like, just as simple as I'm feeling stressed out. I have so much to do. Okay, nothing to do. Most people don't want to take a pen and paper and write down everything they need to do and just look down at it, and you're gonna realize it's not that complicated. Like, you can actually figure this out. You know, everyone wants to use their phone to make notes. Are you actually focusing at that point? Can you actually see in front of you if this is all the stuff you have that you need to do? You're going to use your phone. You're going to put down everything that you're stressed about, and you're straight away going to swipe and go into Instagram and start scrolling. So, what have you really got out of that? Nothing.
Yeah.
So, I feel like there are a lot of people who are, yes, aware, but there's a lot more people that are not. At
Yeah.
least with people that I interact with. I think it's different everywhere in the world. You know,
Hmm.
some cultures it's a little bit more hush hush. We don't do these things, or it's not normal for us to like go to therapy. It's not normal for us to like look inward. Like, it depends on the culture, but at least my interactions with most people, like, it's still not normalized to go to therapy. It's still not normalized to speak your feelings.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I think I agree. I like, and it's always interesting because I'd say like in my relationships with other guys, like if I bring up that side of things, most of the time it's received very well. And it's like someone will be like, I've never really even like shared or talked about that, which is great. Or it's not great that they haven't, but it's great that like it does open the door to kind of deeper conversation. But yeah, I think there is that drive too to like project some self-image and not share that weakness or whatever.
I think it's a
Eh,
lot with men. I mean, you would know a lot of men, they don't want to speak to their other men about it. Like, if they're in a relationship, they might talk to their partner about it, but with their close male friends, I mean, I don't really. My guy friends here, I mean, I'm a girl, so they obviously speak to me very openly, but I'm not quite sure what the dynamics is like within guys and guys of how open are you guys with your feelings and
yeah.
emotions and shit you're going through.
Yeah. No, and like growing up, I was always like, trying to hide as much as possible. But and it's interesting too because and I think you touched on this already, like going to the gym every single day and crushing yourself. Like all these things, like everyone has their thing, and like our society rewards and looks at people who are exercise addicts or workaholics as like this noble, like, oh, they are like, so great, like, but truly a lot of the time it can be just the other side of the coin from people that maybe have alcohol problems or drug problems, and they're just getting it in a way that's like kind of healthy on the surface level. And like I think it all comes back to kind of the same work, right? Like a lot of clients we've had have come in doing that, like just crushing themselves. And it is the work of bringing them back from that, just like the work of people who are just overeating like crazy. These people are restricting like crazy and just beating themselves up so much.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so it's just an interesting lens when you start to kind of see that and people you traditionally are like, wow, they just have so much like discipline. And it's like,
Yeah,
well,
there's
you
always
don't
another reason
necessarily.
behind it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, there is. I mean, because I feel like, when you're feeling good and you're feeling okay, like, you're most likely going to have everything in your life balanced, right? There's not going to
Hmm.
be one extreme of something and an extreme of something. Like you want balance in your life. If you're feeling secure, if you're feeling calm, things are going well. I want to have fun, but I also want to take care of myself. Yeah, it's like you have to have both in order to actually be. I don't like to say happy because happiness is different for everyone.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? I just feel like going from one extreme, like you said, training like crazy. There is discipline there, yes,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
how long will they be able to hide behind whatever feeling it is?
Yeah.
So once you manage to deal with all these things, you start to do everything in moderation. Because I mean, even like eating protein, training, we still need to do these things in moderation. Drinking water, we
Right.
tell everyone hydrate, hydrate. But if you drink too much water, you can actually drown, right?
Yeah.
So everything in life has to be done in moderation, good things and the bad things. I think we're allowed to do a little bad as well. You can have a drink every once in a while. You can have your ice cream every once in a while. It's not that big of a deal, but you need to become aware of these things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the magic of everything is in the middle. Like and yeah, like with the alcohol, like, if you're like strict and super strict with yourself and it starts to take away from relationships, like, a drink here and there that supports your social relationships and laughter and community is going to be a net positive probably. But
Yeah.
yeah, too much of anything it can be a bad thing. Like I look at my own fitness journey, and like the big shift there is like the balance of it used to be all just like, hypertrophy training as much as possible to like look as good as possible. And it's like, okay, instead of like 5, 6 days a week just beating myself up to like try to look as good as possible, it's like I know I just feel better, like mentally and energy wise, when I bring that back to like, okay, maybe 3 days a week and then work in like some cardio for the mental and aerobic benefits and the recovery. And like it's definitely a battle. Like we kind of said earlier, like I don't think these things ever completely go away, but
Mm.
that middle and balance and that's like so many clients, right? Like it's so black and white. Like our mind just loves black and white. The good or bad. Can I do this? Can I not do this? And it's like, all right, let's try to zoom out and not just be told what to do, but like start learning and bringing awareness to why you might want to do more or less of something.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got a client whose lifestyle revolves around being around alcohol a lot. We're still working on how I've never told her you can't drink, you got to cut it out if you want to get your results. I mean, she wants a specific thing to happen with her, but with her life it's impossible. I told her you need to be as consistent as you can with every other thing that you have going on, like your protein, your sleep, all these things. Just make sure you're hitting all these steps, everything. But when it comes to the alcohol part, I know you can't cut it out, right? This is just something that's not going to happen given your job. But let's try to work on how we can, one, reduce calories from the alcohol. Two, how do we drink less? Because ultimately, that's what you need to start to learn to do. Like, if you're going out and you're ending up having like 7 shots of tequila, because I said tequila is low in calories, half tequila, it doesn't mean you go off and have 7 shots of tequila, right? So
Yeah.
that's not really moderation. So now it's like, let's work on, okay, if somebody comes and gives you a shot, take it, have a glass of water right after. Don't have the next shot. Like, how do we work on it? And again, I just feel it's so different for every single client, and because everyone has their own unique lives, that we can't be saying this is bad and this is good. Don't do this instead. We have to kind of work with their life and their lifestyle and just figure out what's going to be the best way for them to still be able to get results, live a better life, get healthier, and check off just the main things that they need to.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like the food, what's it providing you? Like, are we going out and drinking as much as possible to avoid sitting with our thoughts or being with ourselves? Or like, are you after a promotion and you feel like you have to do that to be a certain way to get that promotion? Or, are you anxious around people so you want to like without like and that's where, once again, in the middle, like you said, like let's try to incorporate it, find moderation, get logistical around it, but not ignore on the flip side the self-awareness around what is it doing for you? Like, why do you, why do you do that? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, like sometimes when I'm feeling really, really shit, I mean, this hasn't happened in a long time, but this was a while ago. What used to happen was like, I just was like, okay, I'm done working. I feel shit. I just want to go and have a beer. That's it. Just one beer. And it will always just be one beer, right? But I wanted to stop that because it was like I'm just linking me feeling like shit to just going and having a beer. Like it's unnecessary. Like it's doing nothing for me. I'm by myself. It's not like I'm meeting a friend for a drink. Like I'm just in my head, a cold beer is going to make me feel better. It's not really, is it? You know. So what I started doing when I was going through that was I realized that that craving, that feeling would start to come at about 7 p.m. So I just changed my gym time from morning to the evening. And I went to the
Uh,
gym at 7 p.m. And then by the time I got home, I don't feel like having a cold beer because I've had a good workout. I'm tired now. I just want to have dinner and go to bed.
yeah. I love it.
So just kind of like putting gaps in between these habits, bad habits that I want to kind of fix, breaking
Yeah.
it, break the chain, like you said.
Yeah. I just did something similar. I was like I love waking up and working out and getting a good workout in, like drinking caffeine, crushing a workout in the morning. But I notice like when I do that, I tend to like crash a little bit more in the afternoons. And then in the afternoons, I'm not really as likely to like, if I don't have calls, to like get some deep work done. So I like switched, but I know if I'm a little tired in the afternoon, I can still get myself to go work out much easier than I can get myself to like write or like really do good work. So like I've been really trying to work on, wake up and get the work done because I know I can get myself to the gym and it's really helpful. It makes my day way more productive hours
Yeah.
wise.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, it's nice to work out in the morning. I love doing it. I do a cardio session now in the morning, but I'm always crashing. So I come home after, I'll have my breakfast. I might do a little bit of admin work, maybe some client updates, and then I'm like, okay, I'm zonking off. Then I end up taking a nap. And then I wake up and then I'm too groggy. So I don't really put that much effort. And I mean, this has been the summer, to be honest, because it's just like everything's kind of off balance with the sun going down so late and everything. And then it's like, okay, I'm gonna go work out. Then I go work out. So if I look at the end of the week, I've not really done any deep work just because I'm so tired. But
Yeah.
hey, the training's getting checked off and that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the summer for me always. It's like the bare minimum gets done. I mean, it's fine, but it's exhausting. I think it's the heat as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, the light, I mean, yeah, it's way different. I go to bed so early in the winter when it's dark at like 5 p.m. Yeah, it's
Damn.
terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I like the summers. I mean, like the beginning of summer is like I really get pumped up to work because I'm just like I've got longer days, so I have all the time in the world, and it's great until it's not so great anymore because you're like I have all the time in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So beginning
That's
of
the re
summer is the most productive.
that's the remote work curse too. It's like, oh, you can work from anywhere, but you can literally work from anywhere. So it's a lot harder to discipline yourself to shut that off and give yourself time because it's like I can just open my laptop or my phone and do things.
Mhm. Yeah, that's why I always do a trip every single year where where I know I'm not gonna have access to my like any proper internet connection, so I can't work. So once a year I do that. I just did that last week. I went on a trip where I was living on a boat for a week, so no Wi-Fi. We had connection on our phone, but I wasn't gonna sit there in the middle of the ocean and do my work. So I was like, done, laptop off. Because even if I do like, I don't have that many months of in the summer of like deep work, I'm still working. My mind is always on, right? And this is the
Hmm.
problem, like you said, with remote working. And we really need to switch off our minds once in a while. And I
Yeah.
think for most people who work like even in corporate who are at higher levels or people like us who remote work, it's very easy to never have a day off without realizing it because even if you do something for 5 minutes, you're still doing something.
Yeah. Yeah. And then ironically, if you get the time where you actually shut it off, you're so much more effective when you go back to
Hmm.
actually working instead of just being in this in between zone the whole time.
Yeah, I mean that this was me. Now that I, because prior to this trip, I was like on that. Okay, oh, the weather looks nice. I'm gonna go to the beach. No, I have to work, and then I don't really do anything. And then it's like, oh no, I need to go to the gym. I never end up going to the beach, and it's like, it's summer. Why am I not just going? Because I'm just pretending in my head that I have so much work to do when I don't. I'm not going to do it. So now taking this time off was great. I came back and I've just been at it. You know, I've been going out, I've been seeing my friends, I've been training, I've been working, I've been recording podcast episodes, and I've been on a roll. So just that 1 week of nothing, I feel great now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. I feel like I need to do that a little bit more often, actually. Maybe every couple of months, because there's always like, you hit the peak and then it starts to kind of da, 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 da. And now December comes, Christmas comes, and again, it's gonna be boom.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen, I don't remember where it was, but like, dosing it like, one full day a week completely off at least, and then like one weekend a quarter, and then like 1 week a year or something like that for just complete unplugging.
Nice. Well, I just need to not have my laptop with me. Like, so I need to
Yeah,
go
same.
on vacation, completely go
Yeah.
on vacation. Yeah. Awesome. All right, Brooke. Well, thank you for coming on to the podcast. If you were to leave people listening with three pieces of advice for their fitness journey based on what we've spoken about, what would you say?
So I think first we have to go with, like we talked about a ton here, looking inward. It's like, the longer you push that off, the longer it's gonna take to get real change instead of superficial change. I think second would be zoom out a little bit and adjust your timeline. Uh, because a lot of the pressure you put on yourself and timelines you put on yourself to get to some end goal just creates this, only reinforces that all or nothing and this extreme approach. Whereas if you kind of zoom out and just focus on things that you're going to be able to stick with longer term, that can take a lot of the pressure off yourself and make a massive difference to what you're actually doing in the progress you see. And yeah, I guess I'd say just awareness can cure anything, truly. It might take a little longer without active intervention, but just awareness around things that aren't serving you over time, it'll slowly just start to kind of dissolve more and more. It's hard work, but it's the most rewarding work for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Don't be afraid of being with yourself and understanding yourself. Well, thanks so much for coming on. I'm going to put Brooke's Instagram details in the show notes below so you guys can follow him if you want. And if you like this episode, please make sure to hit like. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, Spotify, Apple, please follow and share it with a friend. Thank you so much, guys.